Hey everyone, I'm back with part 3 of the Melona business bag by Trixis Design. In parts 1 and 2, we completed the exterior. And we made the straps. These are ready to put on. I put my strap ends on already. And we completed the zipper, the inside zipper. Today, we're going to make the interior and we're going to put the bag together. So let me adjust this camera angle and we'll get right to it. So the first thing we're going to do is put our interior zipper in. So I have my zipper template, I have my zipper pocket, and I need also a interior zipper side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my pocket. I do it in 2 pieces, not one. So I fold it together and I cut about a 1/2 inch from the folded edge to make the front a little shorter. That's about all you need. So we're going to remember that the longer part is the back and the shorter part is the front. So that being said, we're going to take our front piece and we are going to lay our zipper right side up. And I'm going to get some tape because I like to tape them down to make sure they don't get wavy, as this zipper looks a little wavy in the first place. Looks a little suspicious. Okay, so zipper right side up. If you already have your zipper end on, your zipper pull would be to your right. I'm just going to lay it down on here, push it down. There you go, that smoothed out the curves. And knowing that I was going to start with this, it would have been smart to change into my zipper foot. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, I'm going to sew this zipper about 3/8 in, almost 3/8, because I'm using the number 5 zipper tape. Okay, you're going to take your back piece, the one that was long, and you're going to put it right sides together with your other fabric, and you're going to sew it the same way. Right sides together. I'm going to put a little piece of tape down. Now this tape won't be in my seam allowance. I won't have to sew over it. I know some people are concerned about getting their needles icky, and that didn't even stay on that fabric. Not starting this video out very well, am I? It doesn't adhere to cotton as well as it does vinyl. I probably should have just put it on the zipper tape. But here we go. I want to match up my edges like so. Once I get that right, then I'll press this tape on. We're going to sew this one almost 3/8. Okay, gonna open it up. There's the inside of your zipper, or the back side of your zipper with the inside of your fabric. So I'm going to fold my seam to the lining side, not the zipper, and I'm going to top stitch this down. I don't get up and use my iron when I'm sewing. And this just makes it nice and flat, so much better than you can do with an iron. See how nice that looks? So, and it holds your zipper tape down really well for you to do the next step. So, I wrote on the back of my overlay to put it 1 3/8 inch down. So I'm glad I did that, because I would have to refer to the instructions if I didn't. One 3/8 down. Gonna put some tape on this. Gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna go 1 3/8. And there we have it. And we're gonna put this down. So I should have marked to the centers, but I didn't. So I'm typically pretty good at measuring that. So that was the top. So I've got this taped on, and I'm going to sew around just the outside, just like we did in the exterior pocket. Oops, but I don't want my zipper foot on. Because it'll just push the vinyl, make a mess. Okay, here we go. Sew around the outside. Stitches look great. I know I just posted part 2 this morning, and I may get this one posted later today or tomorrow, but I had to hurry and get part 3 done because I'm having surgery on my wrist tomorrow, and it might be a couple of weeks before I get to sew very much. I don't know. 2 weeks in a splint. But he said my fingers would be out, so that means I'm going to do as much as I can, I'm sure. I don't know how to sit still and let it rest. Okay, we got our zipper sewed on. Now we're going to cut out the center. I'm just going to give it a little snip. You want to make sure that you don't have the edge of that vinyl when you're snipping this. Just double check. tip of my scissors is worn out. I have to order some new ones. Okay, so now we have a hole. See? So we are going to put our short side in front of us, because it will be the front of the inside. And we're going to place our zipper pocket over this. I think I had a number 3 zipper set aside, but ended up sewing in this 5, so we'll just leave it at that. I'm going to put down some tape. There we go. Actually, I would need to have my zipper on here before I sew this up. So I was almost going to forget it. Whoops. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to go around back to the same area, and then I'll pull my zipper pull through and sew that end. Make sure both pieces of your zipper lining are where they need to be. Push my zipper pull through there. Out of the way. Okay, so I am going to sew all the way around this zipper, the 3 sides, because I'm gonna do a drop-in lining. I usually round my corners just a little bit. get these easy spring-loaded scissors, but it's still hurting to use them. Okay, there's our interior zipper. So we're going to take the other side of our lining and we're going to put on our slip pocket. So I have some trim for the slip pocket. So I'm going to put wrong sides together of my slip. I make my trim an inch wide. And I'm going to mark it at half. Because I'm going to put a little band of tape right at the line, actually right under it. And I'm going to put my slip pocket. Now I cut this slip pocket as wide as my lining side that I'm putting it on because I like for my slip pocket to go all the way across the bag. Just going to clip these down real quick. So we're going to put this on here matching the bottoms. I'm thinking with that flap that's going to come down, that might be a little high. So I think we'll do 1 3/8 inches. Just like we did the zipper pocket, and they'll be on the same width, opposite sides. And it's okay that my pocket's a little longer, I'll just trim it off, not a big deal. So I'm going to divide my pocket. I like to make divided pockets. So, That's what I thought. This is 11 inches wide. So 5.5 will be halfway. So I'm going to sew around it to baste. I'm going to come up through the middle. Sew that down. You can sew 2 lines apart and put a rivet in it. At the top you can make the lines be a little bit apart. Typically that's not what I do. I'm going to go take a stitch back and forth, and I'm going to do that a couple of times. Just kind of make a tiny little T. And then I'm going to come right down. The reason I didn't sew across the bottom was because since I adjusted the height of the pocket, I'm going to have to trim. And I didn't know where to sew because the short part's on the back side. So there we go. Okay, there we go. We got a nice little divider right there. So, we are ready to sew this together. And the first thing I'm going to do is mark a 3/8 line where my seams go. Because just like when we did the exterior, we're going to start and stop at that 3/8 line. We're going to do the same on our side panels. Looks like one of them's a little short on interfacing on one side. I don't think that'll hurt anything. Okay. And just for good measure, we're going to mark our base piece as well. Okay. So we're going to sew our bottom to our front and back interior. And as we've already talked about, we're going to start and stop at our little lines. We're going to leave that 3/8 open. So needle down on the 3/8. And this is a 3/8 seam allowance. Okay. We're going to sew the bottom of the other one. Now before I go too far, I am going to mark a 3/4 inch line across the top. And when I get ready to fold down the top, because I'm doing a drop-in, I'll have a fold to line. I'll fold my top to the line, and it will be exactly 3/4. I mean, it'll be exactly 3/8 because I drew the line at 3/4. So we're going to do the same on our top sides. Just easier to do it before we sew it all together. That's the bottom, so this is the top. Okay. We're ready to put our sides in now. Right sides together. Your lines that you drew are going to match up exactly with these two seams that we just sewed. You're going to want to push your seam allowance on your bottom away from you. Okay, so we're going to sew from line to line. Good back stitch. Make sure your seam allowance is coming towards you so it doesn't get sewn into this seam. I'm stopping at the line. I'm going to go ahead and sew the other side on. I find it easier to sew the two bottom seams at the same time. As you can see, my lines are lining up perfectly with the seam. So push that seam out. So if we just fold this up, match our top, and you can see how this bottom, it just folds flat down right into place for you to sew exactly to the line where the other stitching ended. And that's what you want. I'm going to backtrack over where that pocket is to make sure it doesn't come loose. You may feel like you need to pull the bottom panel out of the way, and that's fine. Right to that stitch. And we have a perfect corner made with no light showing through. So just turn up the other side. First time I ever did this, a couple of years ago on the pattern I was making, I did not even understand what they were talking about. Stitching just to the seam line, just to the line. So there we go. That side's done. When you sew just to the line, it enables you to be able to rotate your fabric around. Actually going to start at the bottom this time. So just start in the same stitch where you ended. One reason I like drop-in linings is because if my bag interior is a little baggy for some reason, I can just take up a bigger seam, trim it, stick it back in, and give it a good test. Okay, there's the base of our interior. We still have to put the top panel and the zipper panels on, but I want to stick it in here and just see how well it's going to fit. Keep in mind also I have not trimmed my corners yet. That's a pretty good fit. I don't think I'll have to adjust that at all. Next thing we're going to do is sew our zipper in. So you can mark the centers to make sure you get them in there correctly. So I'm going to mark the centers right now. just pouring outside. I usually mark my centers when I cut out stuff. So 5.5 should be the center there. And also the center here. Okay, so you want your zipper to open with your interior zipper at the back. Just gonna flip these over. Make sure I have them like I want them. I'm gonna go in like that. Interior to interior. Middle to middle. These should be the same distance from the side seam on each side, since we measured the middle. So we know this one's going to go here. What you want is for your little zipper ends to be matched up perfectly when you put your zipper on. And the edges of these are matched up, so that's good. I'm just gonna baste this down because we're gonna put our interior panel on top of it. Baste it down and hold it in place. And before I go any further, I am going to double check. That is correct. Those ends meet. So push that down inside. And next we're going to get out our top panels. And now that I'm through sewing the interior, I'm going to change and put my I'm going to put my bigger thread on. I had a regular sewing thread to sew the lining since it was cotton. if I did or not. I'm going to save the whole thing with the Tech 70 thread. I'm going to open up this little seam and just top stitch it for several reasons. You want that seam open. I believe that was supposed to be a 1/4 inch seam, but I'm going to check it for you right now. I believe that's correct. So we're just going to make a little circle with this band, and then we're going to sew it around the top. I just ran out of bobbin thread, so I will be right back after I fill that up. Okay, got bobbin thread reloaded. Had to top stitch the rest of that. Okay, this band goes in the bag right sides together, and the seam goes in the center of your side, and it's going to stay nice and open for me because I top stitched it down. I'm actually going to open the seams on the interior of the bag too. It'll just cut out the bulk and help it lay easier. So I'm going to open those up real quick, pin them down. So that little clip I made in the seam, it was just so I could pull that back and open it up to stitch. It's too thick right there to pull back. So I just clipped it so I could do that. So we are stitching right sides together at 3/8 of an inch. Now what I just realized was that I marked the top edge of this bottom part of the interior. That's not the part that gets turned down. It's this band that gets turned down. So I guess I'll be marking that. So now we have this nice band here. And what we're going to do is we are going to top stitch. We're going to top stitch the lining right here on top. We're going to push the seam down and top stitch the lining. We're going to pull our zipper facing, we're going to pull it up so that we're top stitching underneath there. You can turn it around if you want to do this. I don't guess it matters. That might be easier. I think that's what I'll do. You don't have to pin this or anything because you're pushing the bottom seam down. So just stick it under here and push it down as you go. Good so far. Before we go any further, I'm going to pull this out, turn it back, and I'm going to clip my corners. So you have 3 corners here, front or back, bottom and side. And if you just clip that, clip your corner off close to your seam. Make sure you don't clip into it. Don't clip into those little threads that you started and stopped at. Just get pretty close. Okay. So actually our thing will go in there like that. What I am going to do is mark my 3/4 line. So I marked it on the wrong thing earlier, which is just stupid. I'll push those zippers down and get them out of the way. This is not an exact science here. It'll just help you turn it down evenly. So you can turn it down and clip it. You can turn it down with some tape. I think I'm just going to clip it because to make it really stay down good, you would have to use a wider tape. I don't know that that narrow tape would hold it down. So just go through here and clip this. Give it a few clips. Clips are not going to be on there long. Side marked. Really don't even have to mark it all the way. Just give myself a good indication of where I need to be. Also, if you just pin these, or clip, I should say, it's easier to make any adjustments that you need to make when you stick this into the exterior. Okay, so this is the front of my exterior. I'm going to drop this in here. Okay, we've got this pin all the way around. So I'm just going to stick it under the sewing machine and top stitch. So I get a nice thick book, and I'm going to raise my sewing machine up. Just like that. So I can stick this under here nicely. Some people will top stitch from the inside. That's just not something that I want to do. It's not wrong. I like to see my stitches on the top. I just like to see them as I go. And that's just me. Because I open my seams up on the interior and the exterior, there's just nothing to worry about sewing over. It's all nice and flat. I don't have thick seams to sew over. I'm not going to have to get out my hump jumper. Now on this bag, you want to make sure your rings are pulled back out of your way. You're going to have to go slow in front of the rings. You may not if you had rectangle rings, but I had to go and decide to put round rings because I did rectangle on the other three and just wanted to do something different. And it's part of use what you have mentality, right? Coming back to the beginning. Had to clip a couple of loose threads. Okay, there's not much left. I'm doing this bag. We are going to have to put our zipper pull on. Okay, I've got my zipper pull on. Perfect. We are so close to being through. Just going to fold this zipper good. See if I can get this. Sometimes these are hard to get on a number 5 zipper. It's a little thick. There's the inside. Open your zipper up. There you go. The only thing left to do is to put my straps on, and I'm not going to bore y'all with that process. But I will slide them up here and show you what they're going to look like. So I made two-tone straps, so red on one side, red on the outside. So all I'm going to need to do is put some rivets in the other handle, and we'll be on our way. Thanks so much for watching. Please, in the comments, if you have any questions about anything I did, or a way to do something, or a better way for me to do my videos, just put your comments below and I will read them and respond. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel, and that would help me out a lot. So thanks so much. This is the Melona bag by Trix's Design.